It's about time we did an updated Elementor site tutorial. I'll assume you got your domain and your hosting all sorted out and your emails and all of that, okay? But please make sure you have got WordPress installed. Here are some of the essential plugins I recommend. You don't have to follow exactly what I'm saying here. You can look and watch other videos as well, but this is my go-to list. So Autoptimize and WP Fastest Cache for optimization. Duplicate page when you want to duplicate posts or pages. It's a really quick way of basically duplicating. These are all free, by the way. Elementor, which is free, and RankMath SEO, which is free. The only one that's not free is Elementor Pro. It's currently $49 a year for this one, or you might want to go for the $199 package where you get 25 licenses, but that's up to you. I'm going to assume that you have got Elementor Pro, okay? And if you haven't, I strongly recommend you get it, because you're investing in yourself and your business. If you want to use third-party add-ons to get more out of Elementor, go ahead and be my guest, but you are leaving yourself open to possible incompatibility or plugin conflicts. That being said, there are some really good third-party add-ons, but I'm going to stick to Elementor Pro. Adding a plugin is dead easy. When you're in WordPress, basically over here, you'd go down to plugins, and you would then click add new. And some plugins you might have to purchase and download, whereas over here, if I just go in and I type in duplicate page, it's going to give me that plugin. I can then install it by hitting install now, and they'll get the option to activate. Go ahead and activate. I'm going to quickly run through some of the settings for some of the plugins and definitely for WordPress as well. Let's do the WordPress settings first. If you go down here to settings and you go down to general, this is where you really want to be setting what your site title is and what your tagline is. So if your site title is luxury jewelry, by the way though, your title doesn't have to be your company name, so you could be a bit dynamic here. So in your site title, you might put something like luxury jewelry hyphen and then put your company name, and then in a tagline you might put affordable jewelry for everyone. So don't assume that this just has to be your website address, okay, or your web name or your brand name or company name. So I could put into here WordPress designers hyphen web squadron, and then in here the tagline I might put something like, I don't know, Elementor expert or small businesses and consultant websites. So you can expand on what you put in it. Obviously you get your address in, make sure these two match. Now down here on the reading setting, this is where you need to define what is your homepage. Now if you haven't already got a homepage and we're going to build one, you would come back to here and add this in, because whatever you put here will be your landing page. So when someone puts in your URL, where do they land? It will be here. If you go to the discussion tab, this is where you can modify what happens when someone adds a post. Must they fill in certain details? Bear in mind though that when you do eventually create your post template, which is what we will do later on in the video, you can decide if posts are allowed to have a comment or not. Maybe you haven't got time for moderation and things like that, but that will all come clear later on. Okay, now we go down to media. Now the settings I like to go for is 00, untick, 0000, untick. Because when you add in an image to your media library, maybe I don't want like different versions of the images created in the backend database, because that is what will happen if you don't zero out these values. So I zero them out and save changes. When you go to permalinks, it's always a good idea to go for this one here, post name. All of these ones above are acceptable, but this one here, post name, is much better for site engine optimization, SEO, okay? So if you create a post called "How do I do this?", that will be over here. Whereas if you pick P123, you know, it's a little bit irrelevant. So for SEO purposes, post name is the best one to go for. Right, now let's go over to our plugins and very quickly run through the settings here. You do not need to follow what I'm doing. I'm just showing you what I do. So in Autoptimize, in the settings, here's what I'll have. I will optimize the JavaScript code. However, I will not aggregate any of them. Aggregating can actually be problematic for your website. So I'm going to leave it as optimized JS code. I'm also going to untick that one. So defer inline JS. I'm going to leave all of that blank. Go over here, optimize CSS code. I am not going to aggregate them. I'm going to leave all of those. I'm going to optimize the HTML code. I will also minify inline JS and CSS. I don't really care about HTML comments, and I will not do anything else on that page. That's me just running through the settings on that first tab. When it comes to images though, I am not going to optimize them with any third party, short pixel global CDN. But what I will say is lazy load the images. However, do not lazy load the first 3 images. So what that means is when it comes to checking your page speed performance, your first 3 images will load automatically. Because if they lazy load, say the first image lazy loads, when it's checking your page speed score, it's now waiting for that image to lazy load, or it's waiting for a little bit of interaction before it loads. Well, that is going to push your score way, way down the list, and you don't want that. And then we get onto extra. I'm going to say remove Google Fonts. If you have Google Fonts on here, your website is actually fetching it from the Google website, and that adds a delay. Now, you might say, yeah, but I just picked a font that was already available in Elementor. Don't be fooled by that. It is fetching it from Google, and currently at the moment with a lot of GDPR and what's going through the courts, it's a good idea to remove Google Fonts and you then load in a custom font, which we will be doing shortly. Let's now go over to our WP Fastest Cache. You can use Lightspeed, WP Optimize. There's lots of different caching plugins out here. So I'm just going to go to WP Fastest Cache and I'm going to say enable this, preload, do it on the home page, pages and posts. I'm going to hit OK there. And I'm going to say, I'm going to go here as well, and I'm basically going to tick lots of these items, but I am not going to tick a few of them. Watch what I don't tick, right? I tick minify, but I do not tick combine. Exit browser, disable emojis, and that's it. So please make sure you do not combine CSS and JavaScript. It can cause an issue when you're looking at your menu in the mobile, as most of us have found over time. We are not doing RankMath in this video. Please go and search for RankMath and you will see a video. We did a very detailed video over all of the settings, because there are quite a few, and how you can do the SEO for your pages. And once you watch that, you'll fully understand how to use it. But we do have a separate video on that. Now let's go over to Elementor and the settings here. All you've got to do really is say, tick these 2 boxes here, which is disable default colors and disable default fonts. Leave this as it is. Let's just hit save changes. Let's go to integrations. If you're gonna want to have like reCAPTCHA for your comments, for instance, where you pick like how many traffic lights there are, then go over to Google, get your keys and insert them into here. I'm going to leave that blank. With advanced, I'm not going to do anything on here. I'm going to leave this as it is. But in experiment, I would recommend that you do make the improved CSS loading active. I would say that you inline your font icons. Now, the Flexbox container, I'm actually going to make this one be inactive because I'm going to do a tutorial using sections and columns. At the time of recording, the Flexbox container was not on the final version, so we're just doing section and columns here. If I scroll down, I'm going to say make the optimized DOM active, the improved asset loading active, accessibility improvements, I would go for active there as well, and the rest I will leave blank, except form submissions. I'm going to make that one active. So if you've got a form on here and people submit details, hopefully you get an email. But if for whatever reason you don't get an email, it will now store them within Elementor for you. And what will happen is once you have your first submissions done, they start to appear here. So in our WordPress dashboard, on the left-hand side where we have submissions, every time a submission is made using one of your forms, any form, you could have 5 different forms on here. They will all appear here and you can go in and see the further details and things like that. That was the Elementor settings, but there are a few things you do want to take into account. Over here, we have the option called Tools. Whenever you do some changes to your website, it's not a bad idea to come over here and hit Regenerate Files and Data. It is super, super quick. And also maybe Sync Library as well, every now and again. Because if you don't do that, you might make a change on your website, and when you're viewing it, you're going, hold on, it doesn't look right, the colors aren't right, or the layout's not right. The regenerate is basically regenerating, almost like a Doctor Who moment. Now, if you ever do update your plugins and you notice there's an issue and you want to roll back to a previous version, if you go to version control, here's where you can roll back. You pick a version, you reinstall it. It will take about 20 seconds, not even that. And then you have rolled back to a previous version, okay? Now, when you do use Elementor Pro, you will have to go over to your license and ensure that it is connected. If there is ever a problem connecting it, log into elementor.com with the account where you purchased Elementor Pro, log in. You might need to remove your website and re-add it again. It is so simple. All you do is go to websites and disconnect, come over here, and then you'll have the option to connect. At the minute, I've got disconnect. You hit reconnect, asks you for your login, and boom, 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 it's done. It's really, really simple and easy. If we go to media and we go to library, I have already added in some images. I have a really big tip for you when you are adding images. And here's what I strongly recommend you do. You will notice that I have no image WebP compression conversion plugins on my website. I used to use those plugins, not anymore. I go to BulkResizePhotos.com. You just go here. It's free, by the way. Use it in Edge. It doesn't work properly in Chrome or Safari, so make sure you're in Edge. I'm going to pick some big images. They're PNG, so they're high resolution. I'm now going to say make sure that they are 100% in size. I'm not cropping or scaling anything. Leave the image quality as 80%, but you must ensure the image format is WebP. Now, if any of those images are transparent in color, it will maintain the transparency, so don't worry about that. Watch how quick this is, okay? I once pulled through 96 images. It took just over 30 seconds, but look at this. Great thing about this website is it actually sends all of those images to my downloads folder. So when I now go back over to my media library, I can hit add new, select files. I can go over to my new folder and I can actually pick those images. I'm not going to pick all of them, by the way. I'm only going to pick 5 of them like that. Don't scale and crop your images. Get them in the best resolution you can. Convert them into WebP using BulkResizePhotos.com, then add them into your media library. Once you've got them in over here, then you can go into your images. Like this is 1,000, sorry, that's a rubbish image. Let's just pick one that's horizontal. That is 2,500 pixels wide by 1,400 pixels high, 419 kilobytes. Right, let's just edit that. Let's scale it down. I'm going to say make this be 1920 by 1080. I hit scale. And now I go back out, go back to that image. Where is it? There you go. It is now 1920 by 1080. Maybe I decide I don't want the image to actually be that big. So I might go into it again, hit crop, and I might say, let's get rid of this, and let's get rid of that as well. And then what I do is I hit crop, I hit save, and that is now going to be a resized image. So scaling and cropping things here is better than doing it outside. And here's the big reason why. Do you see this image here at the moment? If I go back into edit, I have the option here to restore the original image. And I'm going to do that. I'm just going to click it and say restore the image. If you go and scale and crop it outside in Photoshop or somewhere else, and then you bring it over here, and then you go, oh, I actually need a bit more on the left or right, or I cropped off too much off the top, or whatever. You might not have the original image anymore. Whereas here, it's WebP already, so it's probably about 2.5 megabytes in size, and it's now come down. But now you can mess around with it. So that is my big tip. Do you remember that we removed Google Fonts from our Autoptimize plugin? Now, what that means is that anyone who's viewing your website on whatever browser, they're going to see the font that is the browser default. Most of them is Roboto. Now, you might go, well, do I need to worry about that? Yes, you do. If your entire website is like cursive, handwriting, curly font, that's what you'll see on Elementor when you're building your website. But when you then view it on live, if you've removed Google Fonts, you will just see Roboto, and that might wreck the look you were going for. So what you need to do is load in your custom font. It's really simple to do. You go over here to Elementor and you have the option for custom fonts. You can't miss it really, right? Let's click custom fonts. Now I've already got Montserrat over here, but I'm going to trash that and I'm going to add in a brand new one. I'm going to click add new. Now if you need to get your fonts, don't worry about it. Go to googlefonts.com or whatever it is. Google Fonts, type it in, you'll find it. Go over there, find your Google font, and then you download it for free. So you're kind of going, but you said remove Google Fonts. Yes, remove Google Fonts from being fetched. But now you have fetched it and you're going to load it as a custom font. So now it doesn't need to fetch because you've loaded it. That is okay. Or you might get your font from Adobe or somewhere else. Okay, always double check your licenses and make sure you're allowed to use them. Let's go over here, and I'm now going to bring through the Lato font. So I'm going to pick Add Variation. Now I've already got, I've got a light, thin, regular, bold and black, so different weightings. So I'm now going to load them all through one by one. All of my files are TTF, so I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go over here and I am going to first set this one to be 100, because I'm going to set them to be 100, 300, 400, 700 and 900, so I know the styles I'm bringing through. I click TTF, and then I'm going to go to upload files, and I'm now going to bring over my fonts. There's my Lato folder, and I'm not going to bring through any italic. I'm going to go for black, bold, regular, light, and thin. Let's bring those all through. They will load through really, really quickly, and then the thin one, let's select that. That is now my 100. Now let's add another variation. I'm going to go call this one 300. And I'm going to pick upload, and I'm going to go for light, like that. Let's do the next one. I'm basically going to do them all now. When I close them, they're all in, and you won't see exactly what the font is until you hit publish. So look at what you see on the screen. When I hit publish, that is now going to show me the different styles, and you can see the different weightings now, right? They are now loaded through, and I can now use them in our website. And what we're going to do is create a brand new page. Now, your page normally will be a page with content. And then you have to make a decision over, are you going to have some items that repeat on every page? I'm talking about the header and the footer. Now, you could, if you want, build the header directly onto your page. The trouble is, though, you'd have to repeat that on every other page you build, unless you used a duplicate page, but it's far better to build a template. What we're going to do is create a new template. This is really, really simple. You just click Add New. We're going to go over and we're going to click Header, and I'm going to give this a title, and I'm going to call it a Header Template. Give it a name that makes sense. There's nothing worse when you just put like random numbers and you kind of go, well, which one is the header I want to use or edit? Click Create Template. Now, when you do that, Elementor is going to give you example headers that you could use. So I could really easily just say, go into this one here. Let's have a look at it. Yep. I might go, yeah, I want to use that, and hit insert. You can modify the colors, you can modify the layout, you can do whatever you want with it. But rather than doing that, I'm going to create one from scratch. So I hit the X, and what we're going to do now is go over here. If ever you want to go back into templates, click the gray folder. And then again, you can start to pick, or you could actually go over here and pick a completely different component. If you ever want to just very quickly pull something in, you can do that over here. So we're just going to create a template from scratch. Now, if you're not familiar with the Elementor layout, it's not that difficult at all. Over here, you have your widgets that you can pick and drag onto the page. Over here is where we will then set, in a moment, we're not going to do it just yet, but we will do it in a moment, where we will then set our global colors and global fonts. Okay, so that all sat in the site settings option down here. We also have the grid to return back to things. Over down here, we have our settings. This is where you can define the width of the page. Now, I'm not going to use all of these settings, mainly because you don't have to worry about a lot of them, if I'm really honest. But you can go through and explore them, but you don't really have to. Down here, we have Navigator, which I'll use again later on when we've built something, so we have something to show you. We have the option to undo things as well. Again, I'll show you that. We have responsive mode, so you can look at your website as a desktop, a tablet, or a mobile. So this is a really good way of ensuring your website works for different devices. And we also have the preview option, which right now, if I click it, ain't really going to show you anything because we've got nothing to show you. Let's just go back over here. Let's now create our first section. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pick a section with 2 columns. Normally, I would go for 1 column because I would like to use custom widths for my layout, but I'm going to keep this tutorial simple for everyone. A section is basically like a house, right? The border, the boundaries of what we have. Columns are in effect the rooms. So we have 2 rooms. What am I going to add into room 1 and what am I going to add into room 2? We can start to maneuver the layout a little bit. So we can say that the rooms are spaced out. So the house has very thick brick walls going all the way around it and through it as well. Or are we going to say it's like built with cardboard, so all the rooms are really close to one another? At the moment, we haven't defined anything. But what I am going to do is add in some components, and then we'll start to mess around with the layout, okay? So I'm going to, before I do anything on here, is just dump in some things, okay? So let's go over and dump in a image. And I'm just going to dump that in there. And then I'm also going to go and type in Nav Menu, if I spell it right. I'm just going to drop in Nav Menu as well. Now at the minute, my Nav Menu is set to an old one that I had, which won't work anymore because I've just deleted the pages. But what you do is you just add them in and then you hit Publish. And this is the key bit. It's going to say, where do you want this to be visible? Do you want this to be visible on one page, every page, or certain pages of your website? So let's say you create a header which is only visible on the home page. You could create another header for all the other pages. So it's really versatile in what you can do. I'm going to hit Add Condition and say do this on the entire website. If I didn't want to do the entire website, I could go with singular and say, right, only do this on the front page, or maybe only do it on certain pages. Well, let's pretend that it's going to be on the entire site. I don't know why I said pretend, because it will be on the entire site. But hey, let's hit save and close. Now, this is where I'm now going to jump out a little bit. Now over here where we have pages, I'm going to click add new because we don't have any pages yet, right? I'm just going to type in the word home. Now, normally when you're building pages, you give it a title and you hit edit with Elementor. It's the blue button at the top. You can't miss it. But all I'm going to do is hit the word home and then hit publish, right? I'm not doing anything else. If I now go back a step over here to my dashboard and go to pages, you will see the word home. Why have I created a header and jumped back again just to create the word home? Here's why. If we go down here to appearance and I go to menus, these are my old menu items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely remove this menu because that was built before. Let's build one from scratch. Let's create a new menu. I'm going to call this main menu. Let's hit create menu there. Now I'm going to pick one of my pages. Well, I only have home at the moment. So let's click it and just hit add home. That is now added to my menu. I'm now going to hit save menu. As I build more pages, I will come back and I will add them here. However, even if you have a one-page website, which is what we're probably going to do today, we can add in menu items here. And when you click it, rather than it taking you to another page, it actually takes you further down a page. Right, so that's now saved. If we go back into our header template and I refresh this, watch what you see now in the top right. You now only see the word home because now it is relevant to what we're doing at the moment. Now, let's modify this really quickly. Let's go over to our image. Let's go and pick a image. You click this grey fake image here and you pick an image from your media library. I told you we're using a fake website, didn't I? We're just going to stick in this logo of me. Now, when I do that, I get a huge, humongous image. Well, I don't really want it that big. Here's how you resize it. First thing you do is make sure the image size is full. Now, I've just told you I don't want a big image. If you pick any one of these, it can actually impact on the resolution of the image when you're viewing it on a website. You want the best resolution. Always go for full. I'm also just going to say left align the image. Did you see it move there? Right? Left align it. Then we go over to size, and this is where you size it. Now, if I was to pick something like this and go with, say, 25%, right, of this area. By the way, it is 25% of the column, not the entire website. If that was one section, then it might be relevant to the size of the page, but that is 25% of this column. The danger with that is, if I'm now viewing this on a big IMAX cinema screen, that logo is also going to go big. So have a think about, do you want it to grow with the size of the screen or the monitor that you're viewing the website on? Or do you want to say, no, it will always be this big? Now I'm going to go to pixel. And rather than say 25, I'm going to go with 100. Do your max width as well. I could, if I want, go to CSS filters down here, and I could increase the brightness. You know, I could increase the contrast of the image, the saturation. Obviously, your logo will probably have words in there and something else in there, but that is a very simple image we've added into our header. Now, over here, we have our menu. Okay, by the way, they're not aligned. I am going to come back to that. I'm going to click over here on the blue icon for the menu, and I'm going to say align this to the right or to the center. Or if there were more items, space them out. I'm going to say align it to the right like that. Now, when you hover over this, can you see there's an underline? I don't like that, so I'm going to say remove that. You do have other options here as well, okay? There will be no pointer, but what I do need to start thinking about is the color scheme of this, and I'm going to show you how we set our global colors. The best way to set your colors is not to go in and go, right, I'm going to give this this color over here. That's not the best way to do it. What you really want to be doing is clicking on the globe and pick one of your custom colors if you have assigned them. Here's how you set your color palette. You click on the bars here, you go to Site Settings, and you go to Global Colors. Now, I am going to do the global font as well because we added in custom font. But the way I like to do it is create your header template, create your page, create your menu, and then do your fonts and your colors. You can do it the other way around if you want, but if you do it when you're on the page right now, it feels more fluid, okay? So let's go to global colors. Here's where I've set the primary color, the secondary, the text color, and the accent color as well. Now, this text color, I'm going to go into it, and I'm going to go 44444, something like that. I'm going to go over here to my secondary color, and I'm going to give this a different FF0050. If you know your hex codes, put them in. If you don't know them, go down here and, start to mess around and pick your color schemes, right? I'm also going to hit add color, and I'm now going to add in a different color. So I've already got those colors, but I'm going to go FF0050 back to my reddish color, but I'm now going to pick a slightly darker burgundy color, something like that. So you can start to build up your color scheme. When you've done that, hit update. Now let's go back and go to global fonts. All I'm going to do here is click this blue arrow, and I'm going to ensure that when I go here, these are all Google fonts. All of these are Google fonts. What I'm going to do is go all the way to the top and pick Lato. I'm not setting the size. I'm not setting the weighting. I'm just ensuring that this is all going to be pulling from Lato, okay? So I know that whenever I pull through any font on this website, it is now pulling through the custom font. Okay, if you care about the speed of your website, you will definitely want to do that. Again, I hit update. You only ever pull through the font family. If you want to set the size of your fonts and the weighting, when I say weighting, I mean, light, regular, bold, super bold, and all of that. You do that in typography. A lot of people make this mistake. They go over to global font, and because the option is here, to do it for the size and the weight, they do it here. You don't want to do that there. What you want to do is go over to typography, and this is where you do it. So I'm going to say that the typography for the body for everything, okay, it will be Lato, which we've already kind of defined anyway. And I'm going to set the REM here to be 1, and I'm going to say the weight of this is 400. So everything in here is REM1 and weight 400. 400 was the normal. Now, what is REM1? Font size 16 as a pixel size is kind of quite standard. With browsers, REM1 is equal to 16 pixel. So if I put in a 2 REM, that is 2 times 16, which is 32 pixel. If I do 1.5, well, that will now be 16 plus 8, which is 24 pixel. So 1.1, 1.11, you can do the mathematics over it. But REM is my preferred way of doing it. That is all I'm going to set at the moment for it. I might come back to link later on. By the way, link is when you might have like a bit of text with a link attached to it. So you might want to go in and say, right, all links will have this color, maybe. And then you go in and set your size. I tend to leave everything on here blank. I like to be a little bit fluid in how I build my websites, but that's just me. So we've done the global colors, the global font, and the typography. We've not set any buttons and we've not done much else there. But again, if you want to work on that, you can do. Let's hit the X there, and now we're back here. So if we now go over to our navigation menu, and we go to the text color, I'm going to clear that out. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say the color of my text will be the primary color. That was pretty simple, right? When you hover, I want it to be my secondary color there. And when it's active, I want it to still be black. So look, when I go over it now, it's got the red color. It's coming out. But what about our drop down when we go to the mobile? Well, you might as well set your colors here as well. So the background color, we'll leave that as white. In fact, we won't have a background color. We'll get rid of that. And the typography will be over here too. And I'm going to set that to be 400 as well. And we'll leave that as it is. If I go to hover, the typography will remain as it is. But do I want to change the color? I'm going to say, well, the text color is red. And when I go to active, it is black as well. Now, I've just remembered on the main menu, I didn't set the typography. So I'm going back a step. Let me just go here and go Lato. And I'm going to go REM. Now, let me just show you what happens. If I do 1, that is the size. Look at the word home. When I put in a 2, that is now 32. If I do a 3, that is now 32 plus 60, 48. Okay. But I could, if I want, go 1, 1.1, 1, you know, so I could go 1.19. Can you see the sizes are slightly changing there? I'm just going to go in and I'm actually going to make that be about 1.2. So that is 0.2 times 16 plus 16, wow, whatever, okay? I'm also going to set the weight of this. Now, look at the weighting. I go for 100, super light. Yeah, 300 was the next one. You go to 400, and then, you know, I could go up and down. I could even go to 900, and I get the bolder one there. I'm going to leave this as 400. I think that looks totally fine for what we're doing here at the moment. Let's now sort out the layout of this. If I go over to my section, right, that blue bar is the section. If I click over here, that is column 1. If I click over here, the black bit, which is just hidden, that is column 2. If you start to get mixed up with where things are or where the layout is, down here we have navigator. Click that. We've got the section, column 1, column 2. I could go over here and I could rename this to be a header section. I could go over here and say column with logo. You can rename things. Right? If I do that, look, rename. But here's the beauty. I could pick this up and drop this like above the image right now. You can drag and drop, okay? That's what we're doing here, dragging and dropping. Pretty simple. Now let's go over to our section. We go to layout. At the moment, I'm going to say there is no gap. And the minute I do that, can you see everything just moved up a little bit there? I'm going to set the height of this to be a minimum height of 0. That means there is no height. I could, if I want, say this will be 500 pixels high. I'm not doing that. I'm going to leave it as 0. I could even go for VH100. That means 100% of the height. This header will always be the full screen height. Well, I don't really want that. I'm going to leave that blank, okay? So let's just drop that down to be 0 like that. The column position, at the moment it is set to middle. And look, everything is in the middle. Bottom, top. I think you get the drill over there, right? The vertical align, well, you could set that as middle if you want, but the column position middle is kind of more than enough over there. There are some other things we can do to this header as well. If we go to style, I could, if I want now, let me just show you an example. I could give this a background color like that. Not great, because this image here is not a transparent image, so let's undo that. Or I could give it a white color. I mean, I'm actually going to give it white. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to make this a sticky header. That means as you scroll up and down the website, that header will be fixed to the top. If you don't give it a color, it will be a transparent header, which you might like, but I think it will look quite ugly and ridiculous. So let's not do that. You can also do gradient colors as well. So I might go in and do something like that. You can change the angle of the color scheme. If I make these numbers be equal, I get a hard gradient. Okay, so you can be really like particular about what you do. I could even make it radial. You know, there's quite a lot of funky stuff you can do. I'm going to say just keep it simple and let's just go for a white color there for our header. If we go to the advanced tab for this section, this is where we can start to add in a bit of padding. Right now, our navigation and our fake logo image are right up against the border. That is just really close. Look at it. Look how close that is to the top. It's practically slicing off my hair. I don't like that. I'm going to go in and I'm going to make sure that this is linked, and I'm now going to put in a 10. We get 10 pixels all the way around, or I could unlink it and say, right, on the left-hand side, give me 100. Can you see that? That one has moved inwards. Let's just put it back to 10 there. So you have a bit of control. Now, at the moment, this column and this navigation menu, or this other column, are 50%. If I go to the section and I go to layout and I scroll down to structure, I could change it like that. So look, if I do that, that is now 2/3 and that is 1/3. It makes sense for your navigation menu one to be a lot bigger, but I don't even think 33% and 66% is enough. So I'm going to go over here, and can you see my mouse? I have the little cursor cross there. I'm going to drag this like that. And that now means that this column, well, if I click in the column, you can actually see the value here. It's 14.6. Let's make it 15. Let's go to column 2, and let's now make that one be 85%. So now we have 15% and 85%. So if you've got, say, 4 columns in here, and by the way, I could go over here, right click and hit add new column. We now have a 3rd column. I could just go over here now and delete it. Or I could go over here and duplicate that column. Well, we're not going to do that either. So let's just put everything back to how it was. I could either hit undo, or I could go over to history, and I might now say, let's just put it back to here. So now we have the 15 and we have the 85 over there. Now, at any point, please don't forget to hit update as you're building, because it's good kind of, because you are building via the internet, don't forget. And the last thing you want is for your internet to crash or something and you lose it. But watch what happens when I go to mobile. We now have the image, column 1 is above column 2. I want this to be next door to column 1. So I'm going to go over to column 1 and I'm going to say for the column width, make this be 25%. In fact, 25% is not big enough. We're going to have to make it. In fact, no. Let's leave that as 25%. Let's now go over to column 2 and make that be 75%. Now, on the desktop, it is still 15 and 85. On the mobile, it is 25 and 75. So you can mix and match things. By the way, if you are ever viewing this in a mobile, over here you have options to make it a bit wider. You can either drag this like that. I recommend you type in 378. Because 378 is actually the size of an iPhone XR screen. And I know we have bigger phones out there, but iPhone XR is a pretty good standard just to make it work on. And then everything else is gravy, okay? Now this image is bleeding outside of the 25%. Let's click on the image. It is currently pixel 100 and pixel 100. I'm going to click percentage and I'm going to type in 100. And I'm going to do the same for the max as well, 100. That image now fits within that area. Don't worry, it is still 100 by 100 pixel. But when we go to the mobile, it now switches to percentage. Now, if I go over to this menu, if you go to the style setting and you go down here to where you have toggle button, content, go down to the toggle button, it is currently centered. Let's put it on the right. Can you see we have a bit of a grey colour there? So what we now need to do is touch that. But I just want to make a point. If I do this and I click this, that menu is not stretching across the full width of the screen. And that is because in our content for our mobile, we have not ticked full width. Let's just tick that. We're going to say that that kicks in when you are on a tablet, on a tablet or a mobile. The tablet is fine, or you might not have it at all. Maybe your menu is only 2 words, so you might not need to have a toggle bar. I'm now going to go over to my style, and I'm going to say that my drop down, the background is white, and on the hover it is white as well, and on active it is white. Did you notice there was a grey color came through? So this is where if you forget to do it, it's okay. You can do it on the fly. Now, if we go down to our toggle button, the background is a grey. Let's make it be a white, and the color will be, well, you can decide on what you want to go for. You could make it a red color, for instance, then so when it's closed, you have the red color there. And when we go for the hover, we'll leave it as a white background and the color red. So if I just hit update now, if you go over to the mobile, okay, and I'm just going to leave it as 360 for now. When I now click that, can you now see we get our menu item? And as we have more items on, we can space them out. One slight problem though is that this is very close to the logo at the moment. So what you could do is go over here, drop down, and you have distance. So if I increase that, can you see now it goes down? I do that, it crosses over. So I'm just going to start this to be over here. Believe me, when you have more content on your page, you will adjust that. Did you notice how big the font was? So if I go back over to style and drop down and typography, I'm now going to say that 2 is just way too big, REM, and we're going to go for, say, 1.5. Let's just view that now. That now might look a bit better. And when you do have more items on here, you might want to set up some sort of like a vertical padding like that. What does that mean? Well, it now means that the next item, there will be 20 pixel difference between the next item, or you could have them quite squashed up depending on what you want to show. A really simple, quick header template. You can add more items, okay? So let's add in social icon. I'm going to just drop it in here. It will automatically go below the navigation menu because we're using the column section structure. If you look at the navigator, you can see it under the nav menu. Maybe I want to add it above the nav menu. We're actually going to make them side by side in a moment. So I'm going to go over here. We've got Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Let's add in an item. Let's just pick one of these items and let's type in Instagram. We go and pick it, Insta. There we go. By clicking over here, we change the icon. Let's get rid of YouTube, for instance. Let's just click there. Now we have only 3. Let's rearrange the items. We can do that as well. I would strongly recommend, though, that you don't leave this as called columns auto. There's always a bit of a problem with that one, so I'm going to set this one to be 3. Is it going to be rounded, square, or circular? Look at that. Is it going to be left aligned, middle, or right? I'm going to set this to be right because we are going to adjust this in a moment. Let's go over to style. Official color, or what about a custom color? So let me go over here and say the primary color will be that red, and the secondary color, which is the color in the middle, will be white. Now down here we also have icon hover. Let's do that one as well. This time, the primary color will be the black and the secondary color will be white. So look, when I hover over it now, I have my individual color scheme. They're looking a bit big, aren't they? Okay, well, let's change the size of it then. Let's make it be a little bit smaller like that. And let's add in some spacing between the items. There we go. We've now modified that on the fly. Remember though, when you go over here, you would type in your URL. So whatever is your Facebook page, you shove in the URL there. If you don't know the URL, probably because you don't have a Facebook page, so go ahead and have a looky. Now, what I want to do though is make these both be in line, next door to one another. So I want the social sharing icons before the menu. Okay, let's sort that out. Let's click the nav. Well, there's 2 ways you could do it. You could go over to the column. Okay, sorry, not the column. Let me get this right. You click on the social sharing icon, you go to advanced, and down here where it says width, you could make it inline. And then you will do the same to the navigation menu as well. Make it inline. I prefer a different way of doing it. I prefer to hit the word custom. Go to your navigation menu, go to advanced, and make the width of that also be custom. Because when you make it custom, you can customize the width of it, all right? The minute you make it inline, you slightly lose that. Look, if I make it inline, you've lost that facility. Custom gives you so much more control. Now, everything has gone to the left. Don't worry. We're going to use the column to lay it out. Go to the column. We have vertical alignment. Well, they're in the center. We'll leave it like that. And horizontal. Watch this. Start doesn't change. Center. Oh, yes, it does. End. It's now gone over to the end. Or we could do space evenly, or space around, or even space between. I really want to go with end. I want it all the way to the end. However, those social sharing icons are a little bit close to the menu now more than I want. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on the nav menu. I'm going to go to the margin. I'm going to zero everything out and unlink it. And on the right, because it's on the right-hand side where we have the menu appear, I'm going to say give me about 20 pixels away. I could make it massive, 200. I'm just going to go with that. I mean, I could even do this. I could go to the top and I could type in 50. So now it adds in 50 pixels to the top. Why would you want to do that? But if you want to have a particular layout with your items, you can do that. And that's all good and well. But when we go to the mobile, is that still looking all right? And surprisingly, yes, it is. Now, if it wasn't, you would manipulate the layout a little bit. Maybe you would make the column bigger or smaller, or the icon smaller. Or I could just go over to the social sharing icons, go to advanced, go down here to where it says responsive, and I could say hide on the mobile. Now, I purposely made this 25 and 75 because I wanted to get the social sharing icons in. But if I now hit hide on mobile, this is how it looks on the mobile. You go to desktop, oh my God, the sharing icons are there because you hid them, but only on the mobile. I'm actually going to go back in and say do show them, or you show them on the mobile only, but you hide them on the desktop. So why would you do that? Well, what if you had different styles? What if you had a different style for your menu or your logo or your social sharing icon, or maybe something else? Maybe you've got your phone number. So look, I'm not going to do it. I'm just showing you what you could do, all right? So I go to icon, an icon list, and I've dropped that in. That now goes to the top. Okay, cool, no worries. Let's make it be a custom width. It's now in line. Let's now make the right of that be about 30. Push it away a bit, not 20, 30 works better. But I really don't like that layout. Oh God, that is ugly. Let's go to content. Look at the layout. We have default, or we have inline. I can go to style and I can make the space of these be bigger. I can go to the text and now I can set up my typography. I mean, default, by the way, is always going to be Lato because we set it in our global font. But if you ever get worried, just go and pick default again. And then you're going to go in and go, right, okay, let's go with REM1 maybe, or REM 120. Why would you do that? Let's just go with 1, okay? You go to content and I go, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that one as well. And over here, I'm going to change the icon to be like that. And instead now we put in our email address. So info@websquadron.co. I probably spelt that wrong because I'm doing this so quick. And then down here, I'm going to type mail to with the double dot colon and add my address in again. By adding in mail to down here, did I type that right? Yeah, mail to, okay. Can you see that's now become a link? Site settings, typography, link color, can you see it? Okay, I'll tell you what, let's change our link color to be that color instead and update it. The color has now changed. So I have a particular way of doing things when I do Elementor websites. It's just the way I like to roll. You don't have to roll with me. You can fall off a chair if you want. We go to style, icon. Yeah, let's make it be that color as well. There we go. And you can make the size of the icons be ridiculously big as well, or whatever you want. Now, the big problem with this layout at the moment is if I go to my mobile, can you see what's happening? Does not look good, does it? But if I go to my text over here, I could hide it from view, or I could go over to my typography, and for the mobile, I could actually put 0 in. Everything has disappeared, but don't worry. Let's go back over to our icon, and now I can manipulate the size. I will then do is go over here, because it's currently got that 30 pixel. If I hit the 0 now, that is now removed from the mobile. But I do need to have some in, otherwise it's way too close. And I'm going to go with something like that. This is not the best laid out, okay? I'm just showing you how it works. So on our navigation header now, we have got this header. On the mobile, sorry, the desktop, we have it looking like that. I'm going to go to my advanced tab and I'm going to make this be a sticky header. I'm going to click on motion effect, and where it's a bit weird. Why would it be there? I don't know why it's a motion effect, okay? I'm going to make this be a sticky top, and it is going to be active on the desktop, the tablet, and the mobile. And I'm going to hit update. What that means is that no matter how much you scroll up and down, this will always be visible at the top, and the same with your website as well. At this point, I would close that down and I would go back into WordPress and go back into pages, and then I would go back into my home page. And because we don't have edit with Elementor available here, the minute you hit edit, you're going to be back over here. Don't start building your page here. We're using Elementor. Don't do it. Instead, hit edit with Elementor, and then you will now be in the Elementor editing screen. But can you see our header has reappeared? Because we set the condition to be the entire site. What if you suddenly look at that and you go, oh, you know what? Oh, I want to change the image or do something else with that. Well, I can hit edit with header. The minute you hit edit with header, you are now able to manipulate the header template. I might go over to this image and go, that's too big. Let's make this be about 75 and 75. Let's make it smaller. I hit update. That header is now updated for the header template. And down here, we'll have the words that say edit page. Now, now we're back into editing the page. So we're literally jumping between the template of the header and the page as and when we want. And that's why I do things in this order. You know, you create your header template, you create your page, and now you can start to work on things in a fluid manner. Now, when you are editing the header, the home page, you have the word home as well. I really don't like that. So down here where we have settings, we are going to hide the title. I don't need to see the title. What if you don't want to see the header because it's getting in your way, your creativity, your feng shui, right? Down here, if you pick Elementor Canvas, it will actually now remove it. But if you update your page live, that header will not be visible. So let's say you've got a page on your website. No, let's say you've made the header visible on your entire website. That's great. But you want a particular page not to show the header. You could just go here and go, right, okay, make it be an Elementor Canvas. I mean, I'm going to leave this as default because we do want to see it. You will notice this fake footer as well. That comes as default with Elementor. When we do eventually build a footer, we will get rid of that. Let's now really quickly create a hero banner, which will be an image and some text. I'm going to hit the plus sign, make a decision over your layout. Are you going to have one column? Are you going to have two columns? What are you going to go for? I'm going to go for having 2 columns at the moment. Now I'm going to go here and have a background image that stretches the width of the screen. So we're going to go here. We're going to go to style and we will pick a background image. When you hit background type, you can pick a color if you want, like that. Let's just clear that out. Instead, I'm going to pick a image and I can pick any one of these images that I've now brought through. I'm actually just going to go for this image here, 1920 by 1080. Let's pull that through. Now that image, we can't see it. It's literally almost half hidden away. Well, let's change the layout of this, okay? First thing we're going to do is go to the section, go to layout, and I'm going to say that this image has a boxed size. Well, sorry, not the image. The content of the website, I'm going to make this be 900. No, not 900. We'll go with 1000. Normally, when I'm building a website, I would actually go for 1100. Because I'm using a MacBook Air on my screen and the resolution at the moment, I'm just going to make this be 1000 for training purposes. I strongly recommend you go for 1100 because that just looks really good on a desktop. I'm going to set the column gap to be 0 again. Well, basically no gap because I will define the padding of it. I'm going to set the height of this to be a minimum height with a VH of 50. This will, in fact, we won't go with 50, we'll go with 6. This will be 60% of the screen size. So down here is your remaining 40% and a bit over here as well. The column position is middle. If I set this to be top, every time I add any items, they're going to go right to the top. I'm going to go for the middle instead because it looks quite nice like that. Now let's go back over to our image. By the way, if I had set this to be full width, if I add any items in here, it will stretch to the opposite ends of the screen. I don't want that. We'll leave it as a boxed and 1000. Now let's go back into our image because we're still not seeing it in its... Well, we're just not seeing the image properly, are we? Let's set the position of this to be center. Yeah, okay, that's better, but now I've cut off a bit of the head. I'm going to say that this is actually going to be a fixed image. That means the image is fixed. So as I scroll up and down, right, it is fixed. If I was to go with scrolled, as I go up and down, it now moves with the scroll. But I want to get a bit of a parallax effect, so we're going to go with a fixed image. I'm also going to say no repeat because I don't want to get a tiled effect in case the image was really small and it started to repeat. But down here is the one you really want to pay attention to. If you pick contain, it will fit it perfectly. But can you see the 2 white columns either side? Can you see them? They're small, but there are columns. If instead you go for cover, It enlarges it, but it fits it nicely, and it means you never have to worry about getting any white letterbox kind of approach at the top or bottom or the left or right. It's my favorite way to build things with the cover. Great. That is now giving us our cover image. What we're now going to do is now add in our content into items 1 and 2. Now, one thing I will say though about this image, one of the slight problems is the image is currently on the left, but that would then mean if I add any headers or call to action buttons, I'm probably going to add them on the right. What if I want the wording to sit on the left? I don't want it to hide the person, right? Well, we can actually sort that out. So let's go into our image over here. There's our image. I'll tell you what, let's hit edit image. And we are going to flip it horizontal. We now have a flipped image. And we hit save, right? And then I just hit insert image. And we've now flipped it the other way. There's always something that has to be said for when you flip an image. It suddenly looks much more different than what you had before. But that works for me. Now what I'm going to do is add in a header, some text, and a call to action button. So let's go over here and we are going to drop in a header. There we go. Our heading has currently got a font color based on the global fonts, but we can sort that out. Let's just add in some words here. I'm going to put in the word box to success. I could have typed it here, by the way, like that. But I've actually gone and typed it over here. It's entirely up to you what you do. If you are going to add in any keywords, ensure that your header is a H1. That is super, super important. So if the keyword for here was boxing, make sure you make that a H1. I'm just going to leave this as a H2 for now. It's going to be left aligned. We're going to go to style now, and we're going to set the color of this to be white. Kind of makes sense, right? What about the typography? That is already going to be Lato, because it's already defaulted to our global font. If you're a little bit uncertain, just go and pick Lato there, but it's already in our global font. Let's now make the size of this be, say, a 3, like that. And for the weighting, I'm going to go all in 900, something like that. Okay, I mean, look, I could drag this as well. You don't have to type the number in. So if you want to go with 3 or 4, I mean, I think 3.5 probably works better there. That is my font, done. By the way, you do have options to do your letter spacing as well. So if you want to be a bit stylish on that, if you want to space it out, I'm actually going to add in a 1 there, just to space it out a tiny bit. I'm now going to click text editor and drag that in underneath. I'm going to leave that as lorem ipsum baloney, okay? I'm going to go to style. I'm going to set this to be a white as well. Go to typography, and I'm going to set the REM for this to be a, well, it is already REM1. Because do you remember over here in our typography, we set the body text to be REM1. So it is already got that in. And that's why when I changed this to be REM1, there was no change in the size. I think 1.3 works better. Okay. Go in and change your text. You could either start typing in here, but I recommend you actually do it over here. Mainly because you might also want to add in extra words or paragraphs. Don't make it too big for your hero banner. Or you might want to actually make a certain section a bit bold like that. You can't really tell, can you? But that is now in bold just over there. The spacing between the header and the text here is 20 pixel. If I go to column 1, I go to layout, it's already defaulted to 20. If I put 0, they'll be close together. Leave it blank, it's 20. You type 20, it's still going to be there. Or you could make them be spaced out further. Go with your preferred layout or design that you want to go for. So there we go, we have some text. Now, the text over there looks okay. However, it's leaning over close to my person of interest. So I actually want to make the text have a bit of spacing. Here's a quick way to do it. I'm going to go over to my column, go to advanced, unlink, and I'm going to go to my right over here, and I'm going to say, give me about 50 pixels away. In fact, we won't do 50. Give me about 40. So what I've now done, if I show you what it looked like before, can you see the word elit over there? Elit. If I now type in 40, it's added in 40 pixels margin, and that just pushes everything over. And I might go, yeah, okay, that is now working okay for me. Now let's go in and add in a button, a call to action. Let's add in a button there. Look at the ugly color there. Don't worry, it's because of the way we set up our global colors. Go and put your wording. Let's say box now, box here. Or what about get your gloves? Click here, read more, say hello. These are really boring, okay? Contact me. These are really boring call to actions. That's what everyone does, okay? Try and make it a bit more inventive. So I've put get your gloves. You would obviously then put a link into that. We will link that to a menu anchor. So when you click it, you scroll down the page to a contact form. We're going to do that later. Left align, center, right, or you can make it full stretch. We're just going to go with a left. Let's go to style. Let's set our typography. We'll go with an REM 1.2 as well. I'm going to make the weighting of this be about, in fact, I'm going to make the weighting of this be about 400. Not too bold, all right? Not massively in your face, but it's got to look good. You could, if you want, make this be full on uppercase now with get your gloves, or leave it as is. In fact, I'm going to go back to the header for a moment. And I'm going to make the transformation of this be in uppercase like that. And I'm now going to change the typography to be about 3.3. This is where this is the reason why, I don't like to set my sizes with the global fonts or the typography. Because I will decide as I go through. And once I know what I'm going through, then I might go back and add them in. But I like to have a little bit of fluidity, agility into how I build. Right, back over to the button. Let's set the color of the text to be white. When you hover, it will still be white as well. What about the background color for this? Maybe I want to leave it transparent. Look, I could go here and make this be I'm on hover. Normal. Go to the background color like this. And I could make it be transparent. And then when it's transparent, I could go to border type, go solid. I could give this a border, which is, say, 2 pixels wide. I could say, make sure it is wide. And I could say, give me about 25. So what we now have is a button like that. When you hover over it, you get a different color appear. Or I could have a color. So let's go to history. Let's go all the way down to here where we have the color like that done. Let's go over here. Let's go to style. Let's go to here and let's make the background color now be, what should we go for? Let's go for our black color like that, right? Or I could go for my red color. So I think the red color works well because it blends in with the image because we have a bit of red. My tip to you when you're doing a hero banner image is try and make sure it's got similar colors to your branding. So if the branding for this is what it is, this reddish color, and that person there was, look, let me just show you an example, right? Let me just do it really, really quickly. Let's go for this image here. Other than the red there, the strong color here is blue. You know, you're getting conflict, right? Let's just undo that. Let's go back to our button. We're going to have a hover color, and the hover color will be the black like that. So when you hover over it, you get the black like that. Or even, what about the burgundy color? Okay, so we could do that. Now, what you might want to also consider with your buttons, though, is what is your padding? That looks okay. However, I could zero everything out like that and then go, right, actually, I'm going to make my button be like 20 from the top and 20 from the bottom and 10 and 10. So you could stylize this to be how you want. I'm going to undo all of that and put it back to what it was because that looked okay. That is your call to action. You can add in multiple buttons, by the way. Okay, so you could go a duplicate. We now have 2 buttons. What if you want your buttons side by side? One of them is a contact form. One of them is CR prices or services. Remember, go to your button, go to advanced, make it custom. In fact, can I just delete this button? That is now a custom button. Now when I duplicate it, they're side by side because they're both custom. Oh man, that's way too close, right? So let's just go over here to this button and I'm going to say, oh, give me about 20 pixels away from that, damn you. We now have 2 buttons side by side. You can have as many buttons as you want. You will stylize them differently as well. I strongly recommend you do stylize them differently. Don't just have them with the same words and the same name. So you might do something like this now. Okay, so now you got 2 completely different buttons. You go for the approach you want to go for, but that is now a really simple hero banner. But we're not done yet check what it is like in the mobile. Okay, so let's now click over here, go to responsive mode. We have no margin. It is cramped up your ass right now. Okay, let's sort that out. Let's go over to our section. Let's go to our advanced. Let's go to our padding. I'm now going to make sure that this has a padding of 20 all the way around. Right, let's now sort out the text. That is way too big. Okay, let's make it be about 2. Yeah, all right, that's looking better, but I think it might need to be smaller than that. Well, don't forget, our column over here, we added in some right margin. Do you remember we added in 40 because we didn't want to be too close to the person of interest? Well, I just do that and it's undone it. Don't worry, it's still there on the desktop, but on the mobile, it's now bigger like that. This text is way too big. Right, let's go over to our typography for the text and let's make it be a 1, 1.3, I think 1.2 is going to work better. However, the text now is going over the person of interest again. What do we do here? Because I don't want to have a margin on the column because I want it to be the full length. Well, just make sure you're on your text. Go to advanced and look at this. I'm now going to go in with about, 50 is way too small. Let's go in with 100. Aha! Well, that is now working a little bit better. Maybe you want to do a bit more. You might want to go with 120. I think 100 was okay, but 120 is fine as well. Can you see what we're doing here? And what about the button? Well, this button at the moment has a left margin. Undo it. Oh, it's way too close to the top. Okay, fine. Let's space it out. Now, at the moment, this is a bit close to the top. So let me go back into my section. Let's unlink. And I'm going to say, give me 40 from the top and 40 from the bottom. Can you see what we've done now? We now have a layout for our desktop. Hooray! And we have our mobile. This is looking good. But you will look at this image and go, the image is fine. She's a bit cut off, but hey, it's okay. No, do not do that. Because when you go to the style, this is still loading the image for your desktop. 1920 by 1080. When you get to your mobile and you do your page speed performance, you will get pulled up on that and it will affect your score. So this is how you get around it. Can you see at the moment, our image has a grey hash pattern. Hashtag, whatever, pattern hatched. Hatched? Click on it. You can now use another image. Let me show you how we do that. I'm going to click over here and I can see I've got my image. Now, if you got the image in your documents, just pull it over. If you haven't, copy the URL, open up a new tab and paste it in. It's my image. Right click and save that image to your downloads folder. Yep, are you with me? Now I'm going to upload that copied image. Select file, there it is, 76 kilobytes. Why did I do that? Because I've already got the image here, but that's 1920 by 1080, so is that. Watch what I'm going to do. I hit edit image. Pretty simple, right? I go over to scale. I'm going to scale this to be 700 pixels tall. It doesn't actually need to be 700 pixels if I'm honest. I think I could get away with about 500 or 600. So let me just do 600. That is now 600 pixels tall. Let me now scale it. Always scale it and come out. Always do that. Then go back in. That is now 600 high. Let me hit edit again. Don't scale it and then crop it because it doesn't sometimes save the fact that you scaled it. So scale it to 600. Now I'm going to hit the word crop and I'm going to drag this. And down here, I'm going to type in 500. You could go with 450, 480, but 500 I'm just playing safe. Now I'm going to move that and say, well, how do I want it to look on my screen? And I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick something like, bear in mind though, this is a center image. So I can see that the center point is here. So what you got to do is start to visualize how is it going to look on your screen. And I'm going to go with something like that. And I am then going to hit the word crop and I'm going to hit save. That is now 498 by 600. There's the original image. Look at it, study it, stare at it. That is now the cropped. and then I hit insert media. Oh my God, can you see what it's done? Because I cropped it so I could still see a bit there. Don't worry, I still have my full-on desktop image, but I also now have that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, is our hero banner done? Now the rest of the website and how you build it, that's going to be defined by your spec or what you want to do. And I'm not going to build out like a proper looking website. But what I want to show you is a really important tip. And it's to do with what I call is the perfect section, perfect column, perfect layout. This has got the layout. All right. It's got the section. It's got my columns. The important bit is that when you go to mobile, it's got the 20 pixel padding on the left and right. So things aren't squashed up all the way. But also I've got my header, my text, and my buttons. So if I was to now say, right, I'm now going to do section 2, and I duplicate it like that, the images merge because it's a cover image, but don't get fooled by that. I'm going to go over to this section, okay? I am actually going to get rid of my image completely. I could, if I want, give this a bit of a background color. So I'll tell you what, let's go and add in a new color. Let's just go over here, go to Site Settings, go to Global Colors, and I'm going to add in another color, and I'm going to go for a slightly off grayish color like that, which you can just see there. And I'm going to hit Update. You can name them as well if you want. You've got the facility to do that. If I now hit that, the X, go back over to my section 2, go over here to background color. I'm now going to pick my new color. The reason why I put a color in is because the font of that was completely, eradicated because it was in white. I'm now going to go over to my column here, column 2, and delete it. I could have left it. I could have gone to Navigator, section 2. Look, we have section 1 and section 2. Don't get fooled. The header is a separate template. Section 1, section 2. Let's just get rid of this header. Sorry, that column. So we now have one column. Let's go into that column, go to Advanced, and ensure that we don't have any right. It's going all the way across. I'm now going to go over to my section, which is a boxed width of 1000. And I'm going to make it a boxed width of it's 8,000 there. I'm going to make it 800. By doing that, I've squashed everything in, right? I'm now going to get rid of this button. Be gone. Get rid of that button. Be gone, be gone. I'm actually now going to move that header to be in the center. And I'm now going to change. I'm going to leave it as box to success, by the way, because I'm just showing you how we do things. And I'm now going to make this be the black or even a different color. You're going to know what is your color scheme or what is the style you're going for in your website. I'll tell you what, I think that's going to be too bad. I think that's too much in your face. Let's go with that color there, right? Now let's go to the text down here and make that be the text color. So it's not full on black. It was 44444. Maybe I want to make that be in the center, or maybe I want to leave it aligned or centralized, whatever you want to do. Maybe you decide, oh, that's way too spaced out. So I could change, I could go to my section, go to my layout and now shrink the width. Can you see what happens? I'm shrinking the width. Or I could leave it as 700 like that. Go to my text editor, go to my advanced and say, okay, give me about an extra, 50 on the left and 50 on the right, like that. So it is still 700 pixels, 800 in terms of the boxed width, but now I've kind of shrunken away some of the size on the left and right. I might look at this and go, I really don't like how close they are to one another. So I'll tell you what, let's go to our column. Let's go to our layout and let's make it be about 30 instead of 20. That is really big. Let's go to our header and let's make that be a 2.5. You start to adjust what you're doing. But here's the clever bit, okay? Just stay with me on this. You might add in an image. You might go over here and add in an icon like that. You might drop in an icon maybe over here or below or whatever you want to do. Let's just take that away. You could go in here and add in another widget. I might want to go in and say, oh, I'm going to add in a gallery, some forms, accordion. When you go to the mobile, and this is the important bit, the mobile, okay, can you see it has brought back the image we had before? Because it remembers the section above. We duplicated the section. So let's go in, go to style, and you know what? I'm going to kill off the image. It's gone. So you can have different images and different styles. So I could have had an image on the mobile and have a color on the desktop and a gradient on the tablet or whatever you want. But let's now manipulate this. I need to make this size be a little smaller. So let's go with a 1.8. This text has currently got 120 on the right because it's remembered what we did here. Remember, it follows it through. Okay, cool. Let's just zero that all out. Is that looking okay? Do I want it to be more squashed in? You know, I might say, actually, give me another 20 and 20 like that. But why am I stressing about this? If I go to the section and I go to advanced, 40, 20, 40, 20, does that make sense? It has maintained the padding. It's maintained it. I might now decide, is that too big or too small? I mean, firstly, this at the moment, if I go to the desktop, is currently, if I go to section layout, 60 VH. I don't need it to be 60 VH. I'm going to shrink it down to be about 45. Something like that. What about the mobile? There we go. That is now 45 as well. But the great thing is, I have header 1. Sorry, even though I've got a different size header, it starts to remember the sizes. Look at the size here. It's remembered the size from here. If I pick up a button now like that and I copy it and I dump it in, say, here, and I make this dumper be a by the way, if you got custom width and you hit center, it doesn't really do it. So I'm just going to go over here, and if I just make this be full width like that, that now puts it back. If you put default, it will still remember that it had a custom size, so put it into full width. If I now go over there and put it in center, that is now a center button. But when you look at it, right, look at it. It's remembering what you had before, and the sizes are consistent with what they were for the desktop. Let me just go here and put this as, same thing again, put it as a full width, and now it is centered. If you spend time doing your header and your sizes for the desktop, tablet, mobile, then you do it for your button, then you do it for your section, then you do it for your columns, whatever. If you reuse components, the perfect section maintains its perfectness as you go on and on and on and on, okay? It's a massive, massive tip. I strongly, strongly recommend to you that you do. Because I could now, right, and easily just go duplicate like that. Easily. And now I just get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. So I've only got one column now. I'm going to go in now and drop in a icon box like this. It's quite a wide box at the moment. I'm not going to change any of the headings or the wordings. I'm not even going to change the icon. I mean, I think I've got trophy here. Yeah, there we go. Let's just put in a trophy, something like that, okay? I can go into style, I can resize it, I can do whatever I want for it. I can even go in and set the primary color, so I might go in and give it a burgundy color. Right, you get the idea. But you see this column? Imagine you've done your wording, right? Imagine you've now done your content styling, your typography and all of that. If you reuse it anywhere else on your website, copy and paste it, it maintains it. That is so important. And if I now visualize this over here, I still have 20 left and right. Let me now go into this column. Let me now say that from the left and right, I want 15 pixels on the left and right. But I also want to add in some padding. I want to add in another color onto this. So let me go in on padding and let me go with about 20. Something like that. I then go to the style of that column and I'm going to give it the white color. In fact, you know what? Let's make this entire section be white. Let's just make this entire section be white like that. And then for the column, we're going to give it that slightly gray color like that. Something like that, okay? You would obviously make your font in here. Like if we go to content, we go to title. I'm just going to do this really quick now. You'd probably make that be a bigger, bolder font. And, you know, you would do your color scheme. You would do your sizing. You get the idea, right? Now then, this has got some padding. And you can see over here quite clearly on this column, We have 15 pixels on the left and right. I am going to give this some extra padding at the top and bottom. So I'm going to go with 40. Whoops-a-daisy. Let me just get rid of that. We go with 20 on the left and... Oh, I'm doing this wrong, aren't I? 40, 20, 40, 20. Okay. That is now a bit of a better size. Now, because I added in 15 left and right, you duplicate and you duplicate. And that's what the size is looking like now. Now, that is not great because that's looking way too narrow. So I'm going to go over to my section, go to my layout, and it actually increase this now to be about 800 maybe, or 900, just to space things out a little bit. Now, that's looking better, but can you see the top and bottom of that section? Because do you remember? Come on, it should all fit in now. This is 45 VH. All right, fine. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it be about 60 again. Can you see what we're doing here? We're starting to manipulate the layout and how it looks. I would actually say that you're better off making this be 48, just based on how big things were looking up and down. So now we have slightly more spaced out, and it was done because we had left and right margin, 15. 15 plus 15 equals 30 in between. We've got let me just click on the column, just so you can see it again. We added in some padding, so when I added in a color, we got that, because if I didn't do that, this is what you would have had. This is how it would have looked. Let's just put all of those back in, like that. I could have just hit undo, but I'm a bit lazy. Now let's go back into our mobile and just check, is it all right? Well, here's the problem. 3 columns side by side, they're up against one another. Well, don't worry about it. Just go in, go to your layout, go to your top, and let's go with about 30, right? And we'll do the same here as well. Let's go with 30 there as well. So on the mobile, it's looking okay. It's looking fine. You get to the desktop, it is still fine. And it just means that when you get into a mindset of how you build and you think methodically, things will become a whole lot easier. Now, I'm just going to very quickly create another section, right? And in fact, all I'm going to do is just go like this, duplicate, like that. You would have more images in. I mean, look, this is looking really light, isn't it? Like there's no images in here. Well, I'll tell you what, let's just sort that out. Let's get rid of that one. Let's get rid of that one. Let's get rid of this entire icon box. In fact, let's go to the column. Let's clear the color out. I don't need you, color. You're gone. Let's leave the 15 and 15 for now. Let's leave it in for now. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add in a form. Form, if I can even spell form. Form. There we go. Let's add in a form. And this side is going to be on the left. Is it the right? Well, let's just put the form in for now, because there's only one column. I don't know why I said left or right. The form is dead easy to use. We've got tutorial videos on that. You can add a field. You can decide what kind of field it's going to be. Decide on what you want to go for. You can even resize the field. So this field here, which I'm just going to give it a fake label, whatever. You might say it's only going to be 33% of the size of the screen. The great thing about doing stuff like that, if I just get rid of it, is if I go to the name and make the name be 40, like that, and I make the email be 60, you can actually have stuff like that as well, which can look quite cool, but let's just put it all back to 100%. When you get to your button, is it full width? Is it in the middle? In the middle, left or right, or on the right-hand side? Go with what you want to go for. I mean, if you want a really succinct form, I sometimes say get rid of the label, because look, you see the word name, email. You do that and that actually looks smarter. You go over here, you can increase your gap. If you got them side by side, you can do your columns as well. You can do your styling, your color scheme, all of that. I mean, I'm just going to go over here and just give this the red color like that. What does it look like on hover? You're going to put in a different color. I think we need to add in another image. So I'm actually going to put in add new column. We now have column 2 appear. You could either use the navigator to rearrange or just pick it up and move it like that. So now it is spaced out. Now inside of here, we're going to add in a image. So you could either add it as a column image or go over here and drop in an image. So I'm going to go here now and I'm going to pick another image, something like that. And then what you could do is, I'm going to set this to be a full. I'm just going to say left aligned. You can now start to adjust the size of it. I'm actually going to leave it like that. So it kind of, in fact, I'm going to put it as a percentage and put 100%. So if I do 50, it's only 50% of the column. But I'm going to go with 100 there. And then we got our form as well. If you think the form is too close to the image, just go in and add some margin in, right? Push it away. Or you might go, no, that's okay. Now, in its simplicity, that is a basic website. What we haven't done, though, is added in a footer. Now, I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm just going to use a template. Let's go to template, save templates, hit add new. By the way, if you go here and your header's not there, don't panic. Click all and you'll see your header template. Hit add new, go over here, click footer, and I'm just going to type a footer template like that and click create template. Now for simplicity, for what we're doing over here, I'm just going to go in and insert this one here. Clearly see the colors are all wrong. So you just go in, go to style, okay, put that color there. And then here's the great thing. I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste style. Paste style, paste style. Let's go over here. The color is wrong. Let's go to text. Let's make it be white. In fact, it's not even proper white. No, that is white, yeah. It doesn't look very big, does it? It's probably the typography, to be honest. Let's just give it a 400. Yeah, that's better. Let's copy that. Paste style, right click, paste style. How quick and easy was that? Right. In fact, I'm going to this is 2 sections. I'm going to get rid of that section and we'll just have that. Go in and fine tune it. Go and look at how it's been built. Look at the section. It's a box. It's 900. They haven't really set any height. They have got some padding, top and bottom. Look what happens if I do that. Right. Go and adjust it. What are they doing on the mobile? Probably nothing. No, go and have a look at it. Okay. Do you like that layout? Oh, I don't like that. Okay. Well, let's change it. Let's make this go from 50% to 100. And this one will also be 100. But it will have a top margin of 40. Well, look, here's the great thing. I'm now going to copy that column, copy the column, go to this column and go paste style. And the next one down, I'll do it again, paste style. You're literally pasting the style of the column above. Desktop. It is still as it was the day we were born. Really, really quick and easy way. Now, if I hit publish and I go entire site, remember, do you want it to be on just certain pages? No, we want it on the entire site. Let's hit save and close, right? Save and close. Close it down. Go back to our home page. Make sure we've published or updated and refresh your page. You know what's coming up, right? Header, all of that stuff. And we got our footer. There's a huge space here because that's where you add in further content. Hit the chevron and we are now here. And this is where you might now go, okay, we need to make the footer, not the footer. We need to make the space over here. I need to go in and say, right, on the bottom margin, just give me about 50. Let's just say 50, right? You would do this in a more scientific, measured way, all right? But look, that's what we got going on here. You might add in a title. Let's do it, right? Let's do it. Let's go over here and grab this title here, this header. Let's paste a header in. I'm going to move it to the top and I'm going to say, get in touch, right? Like that. Let's make it be a left aligned. Now let's change the size to be about 1.5 maybe. Now that image is not looking so good, is it? I mean, look, that message box now looks a bit squashed, but then again, it's not too bad, I have to say. Name, email, message. Yeah, okay, that's okay. Let's now hit update just so you can see it, right? So it's, can you see it? Can you see what we got going on there? I'm talking, by the way. I'm talking. And we're getting it done. I'm just making this up on the fly. There was no prep work done except for the images, right? Even the logo I added in. I've edited it out, but I added it in quickly into my repository. But you're just putting things together now. This should be that same red color there, to be honest. But I'm just showing you a very basic looking website. And of course, say it with me, check in the flipping mobile. How does it look? Right, that text is over there. Ooh, I don't like that. Okay, we'll move it over to that side. It will still be on that side on the desktop. And don't forget, you got to do your your tablet as well. So if we do this, we can now see how's it looking. I'm going to do though is add in a title above here. This one, I am going to add in a bit of height like that. And into here, I'm going to pick up that header. So copy it and I'm going to drop it in. Make sure it is centered. And I'm going to say services, something like that. I'm going to go to the section. I'm going to say put this at the bottom. Okay. And I'm just going to have a think about the layout. Moved it up a bit. Go over here to the padding for the section. And I'm going to say, give me about 20, something like that. Okay. The reason I've done this is because I am now going to add in menu anchors. So the menu anchor will have an item in the menu that when you click it, it takes you down the page. I am going to go to services and I am going to go here and type in anchor like that. And I'm going to drop menu anchor above the word services. Do you see that? It's above the word services. And I'm going to call it services. It is really important that you are consistent and use lowercasing. If you put in a uppercase letter, capital letter anywhere, you got to maintain that for when you do the menu anchor. And I'm now going to go over down here. In fact, I'm going to do the same here. Let me just copy that entire section, hit plus sign, do a paste, but I'm going to get rid of the wording, okay? I'm going to get rid of the wording, but leave the menu anchor in place. Let me just see how that looks. I would say that does not need to be as tall. So let's just completely limit that down like that. That's, yeah, okay. That's all right. This menu anchor, I'm going to call it and just call it touch. You use your words, services and touch. Really simple so far, right? Now then, we are now going to add in a URL that will take you to that button. Now, here's two ways to do it. You see over here where it says get, in fact, let's change this one to be, let's change this one to see what do we do. That's going to be the services one. Can you see it already has a hashtag? I could have gone in here and typed in Google and it would give, like I could go into Google address, or if I type in home, it will give me the home address. A bit pointless because we're already on the home. But if you do this and leave it as a hashtag, and then you type in services, that will now go to services. Now let's go to get your gloves. Let's change that one to be touch. So now I hit update. I hit get your gloves. It goes to get your gloves. When I scroll the way back up and go, what do we do? It goes to the services bit. That's with the menu anchor. But what if I want the menu anchor in the header? Well, okay. Let's go to appearance. We then go to menus down here. And we have home. That's all we've got. Let's do a custom link. This custom link will be the web address, which is basically that without the WP admin bit. And then I'm going to add in a hashtag services. Now, I do want to make a point. If the menu anchor was on a different page, you would then put the page name. Let's say the page was called boxing, / / whatever you want to call it. And then you would do hashtag services. But this is all on the home page. You don't need to put home. You can just do it like that. Hashtag services. And the text will be, what do we... No, we won't call it that. We'll call it services. Add to menu. There we go. Now let's do the second one. Okay, so now we're going to call this one hashtag touch. Touch, what a word, hey? And then we're going to call this one contact. Message, get in touch, I don't know, you call it what you want. And then we hit add to menu. And now I hit save menu, right? Save menu. That is now saved. Let's go back over to our home page. Let's hit return or refresh it and watch. They will now appear in the menu. Can you see them? Home, services, home. Right, you're literally moving up and down the website in a really slick, easy way. that is a really basic website in terms of a one-page layout. Normally, you would have different pages, and if you recall, when I was showing you this website, we do have a plugin over here. If you go to Pages, you'll now see the word Duplicate This. If I click Duplicate This, I now have an exact copy of my homepage. I can go to Quick Edit and go, no, we'll call it, not hello, we'll call it Page 2. Down here, I would also put the word Page 2, hit Update. And look, if I go in here and I edit it, this is Page 2. It is an exact copy of what we had before. And I go, oh, I don't need that. Oh, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that either. And you go, oh, damn. I want it to look, I want something I had on the home page back in. Well, look, this is really easy now, okay? You go to open up your home page again, right? It's going to open up now. Ding, 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 ding. And I go, ooh, I really like that section there. Fine. In fact, let me just do it properly so you can't see it when I do that. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to copy it. You click the section or the component. I can click any one of these things. Go over here and I go, oh, all right, let's paste it. There we go. I go to my navigator and I swap the two sections over. It's slick. It's easy. It's super easy. All right. So that is a really simplistic way of kind of building out your pages. And if you got page 2 now, let's just go to page 2. Let's publish it, right? I'm just showing you what you do. If I go over to my menu, if I just go over there and find it, I go to Appearances and Menus. Page 2 will now be available for me to add to my menu. Maybe it's a sub item, I don't know. Or maybe I don't want it anymore, so I'll just remove it. All right? So the option's there for you to build out a one-page approach or not. Please do understand, though, you can have multiple menus. So if I go and say create new menu, sorry, let me just hit save. Save. I can go create new menu, right? And I can call this one-page home, maybe. And then I then add in my pages. Let's go for that one. The custom links ones you would add individually, but then that means that you could have a menu that's solely for your homepage. And then you could have another menu for other pages. You could even drop in a menu here. So maybe now you've got like a website, you've got a menu at the top for page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the middle of the page, you've got a menu that's got 3 items. And all 3 of them are menu anchors. And when you click them, they go up and down to different sections in your page. Just for that area. But your menus at your top take you to wherever you want to go. It's literally like a filtering system you can build on your page. I hope that all makes sense. Now, the next thing we're going to do is go into single post templates, because I think that is quite important. Why should you care about the single post template? Well, it's not uncommon for people who are building out a website and, they want to understand how to use Elementor. They might need a blog, and your post doesn't have to be just posts. It can be anything you want. The key thing is to understand how to add in a post with very little styling, okay? You just keep it really, really simple. How you do a template to make the format consistent, and how do you add in an archive to display your post. Let me show you how you do that. So if we go back over here and we go to our WordPress and we go to posts, there will be no posts. I'm going to create a really simple, easy post. We're going to click add new. You must keep it super, super simple what you do here. Don't spend a lot of time formatting it. I'm just going to call this one post 1. I'm now going to dump in some text. In fact, I'm going to get the text that we've got over here, like that. Let's just dump in text. Right, I'm going to hit return. I'm now going to drop in a image. Let's go to media library and let's pick this image here. I'm going to resize the image just by dragging the sides of it, okay, like that. And I'm going to say, make this image be in the center, something like that. And underneath, I might then add in some further text like this or whatever I want to do, okay? I mean, I'm just doing this on the fly now, okay? Look, paragraph images, if I hit browse all, you can see all the options here. This is kind of like classic WordPress now. The ugly side of WordPress. No, it's not the ugly side, but it's very basic. All you got to do is create your content. If you do want to apply a bit of styling, so over here I'm going to make this be bold, for instance. But what's really, really important is over here on the right-hand side, you must, without fail, add in a category. Okay, so let's going to call this one category. We're going to call it fake. And I'm going to hit return. This is now assigned to the fake category. I'll tell you what, let's add in another one and call it dummy. But this is not going to be assigned to dummy. And how about we create another one that's called what? And this will be a child of the dummy. That's a bit weird, isn't it? But it's not assigned to the dummy or the what or anything. It's just a fake post, right? That's how you can really quickly do your categories, okay? Really simple. Featured image. You must assign a featured image to your post. So you could use the same image you got here or use a completely different image as well. And also consider if you're going to have an excerpt. I'm not going to have an excerpt, but I might just paste in a few words. I'm going to do something like that. Just a simple short excerpt. What you then do is hit publish, right? That's it. That's a really ugly looking post. But we created the post, title, excerpt, featured image, and categories, okay? Right, let's now go back into our WordPress again. Let's go to posts. And I have post 1. I'm just going to duplicate this. So we got post 1 duplicated twice. I'm going to go in and quick edit it and call this one post 2. And I'm going to call that one post 3. Now, for simplicity, okay, I'm just going to go in and modify the categories they sit in just to keep this really, really simple. So I'm going to go and edit post 3 and I'm going to edit post 2 as well. Post 2, all I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave it as a fake, but I am going to change the featured image and we'll go with this image over here. I'm not changing the content, all right? I'm just showing you how this works. Let's just hit publish on that. Publish again. Let's go to post 3. And this one I'm going to put under the dummy category. And I'm going to change the image here again. And we'll go with this image here. Okay, again, I'm just picking images. And we're just going to publish that. And we are just going to publish that again. I'm just going to go over to my homepage, all right? And you could do this. I mean, let's pretend, right, this was a brand new page, right? And we had named it blog, not page 2, blog, or whatever we call it. I would probably go in here, create a brand new section. I might say, okay, make this section be a full height, maybe VH 100 or something like that. However you want to do it, you're going to work out your best size. I would then say that in here, I'll make this be a top. You might give it a title. So if I go over here, I might take one of these. In fact, not that title. I might take one of these titles here. Just drop it in like that. We'll call it blog. We might put it on the left-hand side or not. You might go into your section. Look, I'm flying through it now. You might put in a bit of padding like that. This is a boxed width of 1000. So define your sizes and all of that. Remember, though, that when you go into here, this is not a copy of a previous section. So now I've got to go in and put in my left and right margins for your mobile. This is why if you reuse a previous section, you're cutting down the amount of work you got to do. The key thing is over here, I'm going to type in posts and you can see it there. I'm going to drop that in underneath. All 3 of my posts are now appearing. We've got 1, 2, and we have 3. 3 is after 2. Can I just double check something? Did I put them in the wrong order? Post 3 was done at 3:09. Oh, hold on. Let me just quickly edit the time this was created because post 3, I want it to be after. It's because I did it at the same time, right? It's time dependent and date dependent, right? So if I now go here and I refresh this page, post 3 should be the latest one. There we go. Post 3, post 2, post 1. If I go over to my post, I can have classic, cards, or I can have full content, which looks flipping ugly. Don't do that. Let's just go with classic, okay? How many columns do I want? 4 columns wide? 2 columns wide? Sorry, 1 column wide? 2 columns wide? You can define how you want it to look. How many posts will you have on the page? Maybe I have 9. So if I've got 12 posts, the next 3, you'll have to go to page 2. Maybe I want a masonry effect, which is okay if you have different sized featured images. maybe one of your images is like a portrait size and one is a horizontal. You could go for that. I like to have my images set as full resolution. You can start to mess around with the image ratios as well. So look, you can see what it's doing there. You can even mess around with the image width. Again, I would say just leave it as 100%. Show the title, hide the title. Show the excerpt, hide the excerpt. Look, I'm keeping it simple. Columns, dates, if you click the plus sign, do you want to show the time of day it was created as well or not? It's up to you what you want to do here. This all makes sense as you go through it, okay? Align buttons is a good idea, and open in a new window. So when you click it, do you want to open it in a new window, or do you want it to open it? So basically this page would be overwritten by the new one. You can decide. I'm not going to go through all of these, okay? But look, you can stylize it. You can do your content. You can change your sizing. I'm just going to make a ridiculous point, and let's go to the excerpt, okay? And let's go with font 2. Why would you do font 2, right? It's too big. But you can modify your sizing or whatever you're doing. I'm just making a point, all right? Just making a point. You can also do your buttons as well down here with your read more. You can even space them out. So look, if I do stuff like this, can you see what's going on now? The title as well. If you go to your image, look, you can start to refine how it looks in quite a nice way. There are some limitations as to what you can do here, but you get the idea. Let's go over to our query, okay? This is, sorry, not the query, the posts. This is super, super important. Over here, we have pagination. So are you going to allow it? Numbers, previous, next. Let's just put it in. So if we had 20 posts, you would get certain wording appearing at the bottom. Let's go to query. This is important. The source of this is posts. Down here, we have include by. So if I go to term, I might say, only give me the fake posts. So only post 1 and 2 appear. Post 3 was dummy. Or maybe I'm going to change this to be, let's change it and say, give me all the posts, but exclude maybe something done by an author, Imran, me, or a particular term, or something else. So if I go, oopsie daisy, if I go to term, I might go in and say, no, get rid of fake. There we go. And you'll have only post 3 appear. Let's get rid of all of that, okay? Or I could use the offset option as well. Now, don't forget, I could do include and have fake and dummy. Let's say you got 20 categories. And this part of the page is only going to show you 3 of those categories. You just put the 3 in there. Or maybe you exclude the other 2. Think about how you want to do it. If I use the setting over here, sorry, go back to exclude. If I put offset 1, the latest post is post 3. Does that make sense? The latest is post 3. 2 was done earlier and 1 was done even earlier. Watch what happens when I do offset 1. Post 3 disappeared. What if I now go in here and put in a 2? The latest 2 now disappear. Why would you do that? Well, what if I do something like this and I put in a 1? So I've now got my latest 2 posts. And when I make a duplicate of this, and I go in over here, right? I go to my posts where I've got query, right? I go into layout and I say, give me 1 post. Just give me 1 post and only ever show me 1 post. That is all I want to see. I then go over to query, right? And it's only going to show me, oops, sorry, why have I exclude? Sorry, let me get rid of this. I still had the exclude bit in. That is now going to show me the latest post as a bigger post. And then I got the others, because I might say for the latest post, right, I want a different style. I don't want it to be in the middle. I want to go to layout, style, and put it all left aligned. I want to have my text a lot closer together. So I've got a completely different style for my latest post. And then everything else is now a smaller shrunk version. Let's just get rid of that. Let's just go over here, go to query, exclude, and get rid of that there. There's a reason I wanted to show you the post, because this would be our post page. We add it to our menu. We add it wherever we want. I want to take a copy of this section, because it doesn't have to be its own page. I could go to my home right now, and above services, I'm going to stick in that. And I'm actually going to make this be in the center now. In fact, I'm just going to make sure, I'm going to make this all consistent with the sizing. Look at that. Paste the style, right? Paste the style. Go for it. What are you waiting for? And I'm now going to make a, in fact, I'm going to copy, I should have copied that as well. What's it doing? Let's just paste that menu anchor in. Where did it go? There it is. Let's just move it up. I'm just doing this on the fly. It was in the wrong place. I picked it up and moved it. Let's call this one be blog. Like that. That is now blog. Let's go over to our menus. Let's go to our main menu. Right? We're going to our main menu. Let's now add in a custom URL. Let's go for, what did I call it? Did I call it blog? Yeah, I did. Let's just call it, sorry, I've pasted that all wrong, haven't I? Let's just call it hashtag blog. And down here, we'll call it posts, blog. Shut your mouth. I don't know, you call it what you want. Let's add that to the menu. Let's now move it up to be here. Let's hit save menu. We've now got blog. It's taking me to the blog. It takes me back up to the home. I can go where I want, right? I can go where I want in a one-page scrolling menu anchor system. We created some really rough and ready posts, didn't we? Watch what happens when I click into any one of these, right? Let's just go to this one here. Look at the layout. How ugly is that? Well, that is why you need a single post template. So let's go and create it. Let's go and do it. Let's go to template, WordPress, templates, save templates. If you're going where are they all? Look, there they are. Right, there's all your templates. Let's now click add new. And here we're going to pick single post. And I'm going to call this a single post template. Template, like that. And we hit create template. I hope what we're doing here is really, really making sense. And I could have done this in a much more slicker, quicker, easier way. But I really want to get across some of the things you really need to consider and think about. Now, you could create this from scratch, but I'm just going to pick one from here. I'm just going to go for this layout here. You can, if you want, view it, but I'm just going to hit insert and I'm going to say apply. And instantly I get a single post template. The great thing about this is that everything in here, in fact, if you look at the widgets, we now have loads of new post widgets. Author box, table of contents, post content, post title, post excerpt, featured image, blah, 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 blah. So when you click on the section, that is not an image on the section, but it is an image. Now over here, when you do your background type, let me just clear this out. Normally you would add in a color or a gradient or something or the other, right? Down here, you might go, oh, let's pick that. If you do that, that will appear on every template, which is not what you want. So we don't want to do that. But down here, you have a dynamic tag, like a stack. Click the dynamic tag and look, featured image. That is now the featured image for the post. I mean, look, I can change the style. This is now the post title. Go in, change your style, change your layout. Let's put it over there. Let's do that. Do what you want with it. Change the typography, the sizing of it. Try and be consistent with your website, if I'm really honest. And the same with the image. Look, I mean, this image at the minute, if you go to layout, it's currently 500 pixels high. I'm going to make it smaller, right? And I might go over to the style and say, I want this image to be top center, like that. So I can see more of the top of the image. I don't want the top to be hidden, you know? We have a section here and it contains inside of it, if I just click it, it has an image. This image, look, if I hit that X and I go over, it should say full, by the way. If I go here and hit the dynamic stack or for profile image, that will now bring, you don't have to have that. If you don't want to have a face, you don't have a face. Face off, get rid of it. You don't have to have a face. Now here we have a section with two columns. Column 1, which contains the sharing icons. This is not the social icons here, but take them to your Twitter and your Facebook. This is a social sharing icon, right? So if you go over here and you type in share, it's this one. This will now, when they click it, share your post to their Facebook, to their Twitter. That's what you want. You want them to share it. And now we have the content. If you want to add in the post comments, look, I'll add it in there. Leave a reply. If you don't want them to add comments, don't have it. If you want to add in other posts as well, I mean, look, I could go here, pick this up, pick this entire post bit up, go over here and just, in fact, I'll just add it in above this one here or below it. No, we'll do it above it. God, what am I doing? Messing around now. Further posts. You could add in a title. Read more. Do you get what I mean? You might only have the 3 more in there for them to see, something like that. But also what you need to do is check how it looks in the mobile, right? So this is how it looks at the moment. Well, we know what the desktop was, and look at the mobile. This is now looking really tragic, right? But then again, maybe you want the buttons like that. Maybe you want to hide it. Maybe you want to rearrange it as well. So here we have column 1 and column 2. Watch this. I'm going to go to the section. I'm going to go to advanced. I'm going to go to responsive. I'm not going to hide it. I'm going to reverse it. I've reversed it. So desktop, mobile. And look at this. It's on the bottom. One thing I will say, though, is that, look, can you see this is not stylized very well because you just used a template. Go to the column. Look at the sizes. What are they doing here? So I would say, okay, for the entire section, I'm going to say give me 20 and 20. And, from the top, give me about 40 and 40. Something like that. Sort out your spacing. Be consistent with your approach. And once you've done all that, you hit publish. And it says, well, what do you want to do with it? Well, we want this to be all singular. But I would recommend you have a think about this. And I would say go for posts. Don't just do all singular. Make sure you do posts. You also have the option to have different templates for different categories. So if I go in category and I type here fake like that, any posts for the fake category will look like that. Any for the dummy will look like that. So you can be really you can be totally unique on the look of your posts here. This is super good. Let's just hit save and close now. Okay. Now if we go back to our web page and just hit return. So let's have a look. Let's go to our blog and let's go to post 1. Oh, look, we now have our style. And by the way, you could have added in another column. This template, if I am correct, is about 800. Yeah, it's about 800. You could have made it 1,000, right? You could have made it 1,000. You could have made it wider. You could shrink down your sizes. You could add in a third column. And over here, you might have had further items like subscribe with a form, information about the author, whatever you want to do, really. You can add in other widgets as well. So I've now made it wider. If we go back over to if I just refresh this home page, that's now going to be wider. And if we just go over here and refresh that again, and if I now go to post 3, can you see what it's doing? Compared to what we had before. Now, I have not spent time fine-tuning how this looks because I think we've covered off enough about your padding, your sections, your margin, your layout, tinkering with it a little bit that you can go away and do that. And if you're careful and methodical, you can do it. Elementor is free. Elementor Pro gives you so much more. I strongly recommend you invest in it. There's links to it further down in the description. Go away and look. If you like what we saw here, please do share and let others know. If you didn't, come back and let me know. We are going to be doing another detailed video, which is purely on WooCommerce that I think you're going to like as well. But hey, I'm Imran, Web Squadron. I hope you like, subscribe, share, and follow. I'll see you soon.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, 'cause I